All right, Coach Jeff here. So this is the video for the Turkish Get Up. All right, and some of the cautions or red lights involved with the Get Up, and then also some remedial drills that you could use to help improve your Turkish Get Up technique and safety. All right, so we'll start off with the Get Up and break it down into parts, and then show you a whole version of the Turkish Get Up. Now there's some variations to the Turkish Get Up. I'm going to show you the bridge variation. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera down so you can see it. Okay. So Turkish Get Up is basically a skill that will allow you to get from laying down on the floor to a full standing overhead position. A very useful drill, not easy to perform though. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll break down each section, and you're gonna find when you practice this that you're going to be able to work to certain points of this as you learn the skill and learn the Get Up itself, or the skill of the Get Up. So that being said, the first order of business is making sure your area is clear. You don't want a bunch of stuff laying around that you can trip over or hit your head on. Okay, it happens quite a bit. People have too many kettlebells laying around. A mat, if you have a mat, I don't use a mat, and I recommend that you don't as well, because I guess it would depend where you're training, but they get in the way, they can trip you. I've seen people trip from a mat, so unless it's a really thin flat mat that lays really nice and flat, I would probably get rid of the mat. Two, regarding shoes, I would use a really flat-soled type of shoe, like a Chuck Taylor or a cross trainer that's made to do weightlifting type exercises, but also maybe get a little run in. You know, you're not going to do your longer runs in, but something shorter you can get away with in this type of shoe. So like I have Reebok Nanos, they're CrossFit branded, and they've become a favorite of mine. Okay, so bare feet, Chuck Taylors, or something flat so you can really feel the ground. And honestly, the best way to go is bare feet. Okay, so I'm going to clear my area a little bit, make sure I don't have anything in the way. Turkish Get Up. So I've broken it down into segments. So we got the punch and roll, we got the Turkish Get Up to the elbow position, then to the hand position, or hand and seated position, and then bridge, half kneeling, and then finally the full standing Get Up. So I'll highlight each one as I go, but I'll end up doing a whole one. Okay, so you're getting into position is important. We want to do it safely. So this is how you're going to pick up and set down the kettlebell. I'm going to start on our side. I'm going to work with my right hand. It's going to do the Turkish Get Up. So it goes in first. My left hand comes over the top, rolls over, and then I can press it up. So now I'm in a bridge position. I'm just going to take my right foot, leave it up, and then straighten my left foot. Okay, and then when we set it down, we just go back the same way we came. Now the opposite hand, I'm just going to show you since the cameras can see it, is going to be about 45 degrees. So if that's 90, that's about 45. And remember, these are just guidelines. We're going to have to find the sweet spot for you, or you'll have to find the sweet spot by doing the Get Up and practicing different hand and feet positions. Okay, so remember, offhand is 45 degrees. All right, so we want arm vertical, opposite hand at 45, just legs down. You can move away from midline just a little bit. I'm going to do the punch and roll first. I'll do a couple of those. Punch and roll. Okay, I'll set it down. A couple of things. When you're moving from one bell to the next heavier bell, this is a good way to introduce the new weight. Start doing punch and rolls, okay, and just add a few of those while you're training. That'll get you accustomed to that new load, okay? Next is to the elbow. So punch and roll. And now before I start, do this mental checklist, make sure I'm in position, my hands vertical, knuckles are punching up. I will also put some tension in the abdominals because I want to help support the spine and protect it. So low tension, and I want a smooth transition into my elbow position. I'm not gonna punch up like I often see people do. I would just want them to kind of nicely and almost look effortlessly rolling up into position. So that's to the elbow. Notice my foot's flat, my shin's almost vertical. I'm looking at the bell, okay? And then back down, control it. All right, next is to the hand position. Punch and roll, elbow, now my hand. Everything's staying vertical. I'm still looking at my bell. I'm gonna come up to the bridge, okay? Key with one of the keys to safe movement in the Turkish Get Up is being able to maintain vertical alignment of the kettlebell. You don't want it going off to the sides. It gets way unstable that way. So make sure that you keep the kettlebell vertically right over your shoulder. Okay, and your knuckles are pointed up. You don't want your wrist in a flexed position. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it all the way to the top. Over, punch and roll, elbow, hand, bridge, bring the leg through. Now I look forward, get into my 90-90, elbow still straight, I'm overhead, stand, reverse, hinge. Now here, don't reach back, bad for your back. I want you to find your thigh, hinge, looking at the bell. We'll create a little space here. Bridge position. Okay, so that's the Turkish Get Up. All right. So let's talk about some red lights and cautions. Red lights, so overhead shoulder mobility, that'll be one. If you find you can't get overhead and you start extending your spine, that's something we should work on, okay? Core stability, rotational stability of the core, and then the inline lunge or the lunge pattern. Because you're standing from a lunge, the bottom of the lunge to the standing position. Okay, there's probably others, but these are the most common ones. Okay, so let's talk about remedial drills and the demonstration. So I want to start with the valve slide. This is more a motor learning thing. It's going to help teach you how to maintain vertical arm throughout the move. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like. So I forgot to get a valve slide. I'm just going to use a yoga block, okay? And you'll see what the value is here. All right. So to teach placement of the arm throughout the whole move, we use something. We're going to make a fist. We're going to balance it on the knuckles, okay? and we'll just do the get up with the block instead of a kettlebell. And you can see if I start to go too far one way, the block falls off. We're not holding the block, it's balanced on the knuckles. Okay, so here's my, I'll just go up to a seated position and you can get the idea here. So punch and roll, I'm staying vertical, up to the elbow, up to the seated position. And I would actually practice this whether you think you need it or not. This is a great teacher. So use this, do full get-ups with it. This might be part of your warm-up, right? Okay. The band bent knee T, this one is kind of a twofer. You're gonna work on, and this is out, a lot of this stuff's out of the FMS stuff, or CKFMS. Anyway, band bent knee T, it's designed to target rotational stability of the core and some myofascial lengthening through the anterior oblique chain. Okay. And I'm going to try to target that pec minor, because that pec minor can bring that shoulder forward, and we got to have good shoulder position while we're doing overhead work. So if you got pec minor, if you got a rounded shoulder, obviously this is part of a corrective protocol, but we want to get that shoulder back, neutral position, okay? So this may help that in addition to some other work like, you know, ball work, myofascial work. So what I want to do is I'm just gonna, because I want to shorten this up a little bit, I'm just gonna double it up. Normally you just want it full length. And I'm going to stick my hand in, and then I'm going to reach around and just put my hand into the band. I'm not going to squeeze the band. I don't want to use the band like this. I'm just sticking it in and then just wrapping it around my wrist. And then what I want to do is get to where there's tension on the band. There we go. Need a cameraman or camera person. Okay, you see I'm not totally overhead yet. And the reason for that is the pec minor fibers are kind of oriented in this direction. So like I say, I want to target those a little bit. So I got tension, it's distracting the shoulder a bit. I feel a stretch in the shoulder, biceps, pec minor, pec major as well. I'm in the bent knee T position. This arm's out 90 degrees, and I'm just going to roll away from it. Now my shoulder's up off the ground a little bit, and that's because of the anchor point. I want to actually keep my shoulders on the ground, but this really starts to open me up. Okay, so that's your band bent knee T. Good for rotary stability. Good for rotary stability and just some myofascial lengthening through this oblique chain. And okay, all right. The arm bar. This is more of a kettlebell specific drill, and this can help with rotational stability, and then obviously you'll see the component of shoulder stability and mobility all at the same time. So arm bar, I'm just going to take you to where my knee comes across and stabilizes me. I'm not going to do the full arm bar as we have done in the RKC program. So here I am. This arm's going to go out to the side, and my leg's going to come over, and there we are. That's the arm bar. That's as far as we should really go. And then when we're here, we can do some internal and external rotation of the humerus, lock it in place, do some rotation of the neck, and then come back. Okay, so that is the arm bar. And again, shoulder mobility, shoulder stability, rotational stability of the core. All right, and then working on the, once we get past the bridge, we got the half kneeling position and then the overhead position when we're going to a standing position when doing the Turkish get up. Oftentimes that's a difficult point for people. So half kneeling, so I got 90-90. Okay, and I'll show you both views. But whatever leg is forward, so in this case my left leg's forward, I'm going to bring the belt up into the rack. Hold on. There we go. I don't hit my watch. Elbows vertical, knuckles point up, and we'll just practice some half kneeling presses. And I'm going to put this here because that actually helps me get a little more neutral. Press and pull it back down. I'm going to open up and press. So my palm ends up facing, so my palm's facing the camera. So it'll be facing this way when I press, but when I'm in my rack, it's facing my midline. And again, wrists are straight. Okay, so that's your half kneeling press. So if you're need to strengthen up the overhead position, that's a good way of doing it. All right, and then the 90-90. Say you're having trouble getting to standing, either because the lower half is not as strong yet. So we'll practice some racked 90-90 split squats. And then finally, practicing overhead split squats. Because essentially that is what you'll be doing when you do the get up. All right, so that's the video for Turkish get ups, some red light considerations, some corrective considerations, some motor learning stuff with the bow slide or a balance type Turkish get up. All right, you guys, practice, don't get hurt, be safe, have fun, get strong.